Hi everybody, this is Osprey from mychartcoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the small caps that were in play today. Okay, first up there's ANW. This closed up 18.5% today. That was a really nice move. Yeah, oops, let's see here. Having some problems with that there. Yeah, so it made a close yesterday above the 50-day simple moving average, and so that was the signal that it was heating up, the close above that green line, and then today there was nice follow through. So as long as it can stay above that 50-day simple moving average at 153 and above the middle Bollinger Band at 161, this uptrend's intact. The next key levels to break here are this closing price here in the first week of July and this 100-day simple moving average at 207. They're going to need to bust through this, $2 resistance zone in order to run up here to 280 to fill the gap and then possibly test that 200-day simple moving average. There's a gap between low of day on this candle and high of day on this candle, and so there's another gap over here. So there's multiple gaps in this chart, but the big thing right now is being able to bust through too and get through that 100-day simple moving average. Okay, let's look at PLG. This closed up 14% today, so nice move. It was a bullish close above the 50-day simple moving average. Remember what I said about this stock, when it closed above the green line after all these candles formed below. Yesterday it closed above and then today it followed through. And so now you have PLG here. All these candles are below the green line and then today it finally closed above. So if it can stay above that 50-day simple moving average at 10 cents here, 10.08, then that's going to be signal more upside potential. If it dropped below, that would signal it's not ready to go. It needs to stay above that level. It did also close above this closing price on the 25th here. That was key. The big thing now is going to be getting through 13. That's going to be the tough resistance level. You can see there was some resistance in May here. And then if it can get through 13, you've got the 100-day simple moving average is way up here at 17 cents. So it's just all about being able to turn this basically 11-cent zone into support. The Bollinger Bands are really tight and it's starting to break out to the upside on a volume spike. Okay, let's look at MOSY here. This stock has been in a big downtrend. It came down and today it bounced. It's bounced 2 of the last 3 days, and it hit the EMA 4 intraday and pulled back. That's the pink line there. It needs to close above 111. Once it gets above 111, then it could possibly run up here to this big resistance zone where you have EMAs 8 and 13 and the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages. There's a gap on this chart as well, so you have a gap between high of day on this candle and low of day on this candle. So a run up there to the 200-day simple moving average at 138 would also be lined up with the bottom of the gap. This is going to be a really tough resistance zone to break between basically 130 and 140. They're all the moving averages are all lined up right here. They're really converged between this 127 and 171 level. So when you have them stacked up like that, they're always they're tough levels to break, and so right now it's all about closing above EMA 4. That would be a start. Okay, take a look at TROV here. This stock is heating up. It closed today above the top of this really tight channel that it had been forming. You can see here this super tight channel. The closing price, it was more like right here on the what is that, the 20th was the key level to close above, and so today it did close above this candle right here. So that was signaling, or is signaling, more upside potential. And then now the next top level to break is this top of this candle right here, just above 90 cents, right around 91, 92 or so. And once it can break above that level, then the 50-day simple moving average at 119 will be the target. So this was a good start. You could see how tight the Bollinger Bands were. The Bollinger Bands are the solid purple lines here. When they get really tight like that, that signals a move is imminent. And right now it looks like it's trying to break out to the upside. There was a PSAR bull flip. There was a big volume spike. Right now it has to stay above this channel. If it were to drop back below, then that would signal more consolidation. Okay, it really needs to stay above 80 cents here, and then it needs to break above, it looks like 92. Okay, let's look at HK. HK made a nice move today. It closed above the middle Bollinger Band. Now that's been the tough level to turn into support. That's the dotted purple line here. You can see these candles here have been failing to hold that level, and it keeps pulling back. You know, that happened last week as well. Well, today it's back above it again. It closed just above the 50-day simple moving average at 419. That's always a bullish signal. Okay, so it didn't close strongly above, but just above that level. If it can stay above, it could possibly push higher. You've got the upper Bollinger Band hooking up right here at 427. If it can get above, stay above 419, the 100-day simple moving average is up here at 467, and then you also have this high close resistance zone at 440. So if it can hold 419 and then get above 440, then you could possibly see a run up there to 467. There's going to be some resistance right here as well. But yeah, this is a nice move for HK, so we'll see if it can follow through. Take a look at INAP here. Yeah, this stock made a nice move today as well. It busted through several moving averages and it ran up to the upper Bollinger Band up here. It's lining up with this descending resistance line, so it closed right at that level. It's going to need to bust through this 1270 resistance zone, and then you have just above $13. That was the high close from over here in June. If it can break through those levels, then up here around 1350 you have the 400 and 200-day simple moving averages, and above that is the 300-day simple moving average at 1439, which is lining up with this resistance from back in March. So yeah, so right now it's at the top of this channel, and so it's going to need to bust through this 1270, 1275 zone in order to signal that it wants to break through and get a new pattern going. If it stalls out here at 1270 on a pullback, you want to see this 50 and 100-day simple moving averages hold down here in the 1140 support zone. Check out the big volume spike behind the move. Okay, take a look at LEDS. This closed up 9%. Now RSI is back above 50. You've got FASTO above 50. Plus DI is crossing over ADX, the green line over the black line. So it closed back above the middle Bollinger Band today and above the key moving averages, above the 50, 100, and 200-day simple moving averages. And so it's heating up. It has this sideways channel going. You can see that this has been the top of the channel right here, and so it's busted through the top. But it's basically has this sideways type action going, and so what you're looking for now is a breakthrough this high close through this 450 resistance zone, and then you want to get through this closing price on May. You want to bust through that right here around 485 or so, and then it's all about running up here to 550. There's this descending resistance line. And so, yeah, that's going to be a tough level to break as well above. But right now, if it can hold above the middle Bollinger Band at 407, then it could get work its way back up to the top of this channel and possibly bust through and test these higher levels from July and April. This descending resistance line. Now to the downside, if it did drop back below these moving averages, if it dropped below 387, that would be a clear signal that it's not ready to go. It needs to stay above all these moving averages to be a good play with this setup. Okay, let's look at GNCA here. Yeah, this closed up 14% today. Look at the big downtrend. So it's been dropping, and then today it closed above EMA's 4 and 8, above the pink and the lime lines. That was the first close above that lime line since back here, but before it got bearish. You can see on the next candle it dropped below the middle Bollinger Band, and that signaled the start of this downtrend. And so the close above EMA 8 is a bullish change in trend. It needs to stay above these levels. If it dropped below 64, that would be a signal, a sell signal. It's not ready to go. If it can get above 69, EMA 13, we've got the middle Bollinger Band at 74 as the big level to break. It's going to need to get above that middle Bollinger Band to get a new uptrend going. You could see there was 4 red candles in a row. The downside risk here is if it fails to break resistance, there is a gap between high of day yesterday and low of day today. So it could drop down there to 61 and fill that gap if it fails to break resistance and it drops below EMA 4. Okay, look at CRMD. This has been on a big run. It had a lot of volume on this big push. You can see here it got above the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages, and so right now it's been hitting this black line, which is the 400-day simple moving average at 68, and so it's all about getting above 68 and turning it into support. It's in a flex point right now between EMA 4 support at 59 and resistance at 68, and so above 68 is going to signal upside potential. If it drops below 59, that's going to signal possible consolidation. Okay, so yeah, good move for CRMD. If you look here on the weekly chart, you can see right now it's trying to break above this October high close. That's kind of the top resistance level in this channel that it's in, or with this pattern that it's created. Yeah, and so it's going to be all about trying to bust through this level for the week. You got to keep in mind that this week's candle will set tomorrow at the closing bell, and so if it closes above this October high close, that's going to be really bullish, and you'll be looking for a run to that 100-week moving average at 91. That would be the next big target. So yeah, it has a good uptrend going. It's forming a spinning top type candle right now. A little indecision. As long as it's holding EMA 4 at 48, the chart's very strong and it signals more upside potential. Look at the big volume spikes. Really big volume the last 2 weeks. Okay, take a look at QTRH. Okay, so yeah, this stock had a big gap up open today, and then it ran all the way up to the 300, 200, and 400-day simple moving averages. This 50 to 54 resistance zone. It failed to stay above and it pulled back. When that happens intraday, many times it pays just to lock in gains if it drops back below. If it trades above and then drops back below, that's a signal that it's not ready to head higher. Many times you're glad if you just lock them in. Right now there's a spinning top forming, a black spinning top well above the upper Bollinger Band and EMA 4, which are way down here at 120 and 123. So in my opinion, the big thing right now is to try to hold this gold line here at 131. If it pulls back to 131 and holds that level, it could bounce off that level and then work its way back up to the 150s. If it drops below 121, look for a drop down to 120, 123 to test that EMA 4, EMA 8. I'm not sure if it's going to pull all the way back to fill this gap because they had some good news today. They had a patent win against Apple. And so, yeah, they're looking at what does it say? $145 million that they just had that they won a patent case. And so, yeah, it had the huge gap up open on the news, and then yeah, it stalled out up here. And so we'll see if it can stay above 131. It would be bullish if it's trying to hold this this level from May. If it could stay above 138, that would be bullish. But it's going to have to get through this 150 to 154 level to head higher. Okay, take a look at MOC here. Yeah, this is one that had the gap up open, and then it ran all the way up to the 100-day simple moving average and pulled back. And that's the strategy that I was just talking about. If it breaks above the key level and then it pulls back below, that's a signal to lock in gains. And then you're usually glad that you did, because look, it closed way down here at 169. So if you locked them in at $2, above here at this, when it dropped back below that even if you got out at $2, you were still glad because it's pulled back so much. So keep that in mind. Whenever a key moving average breaks intraday, it has to stay above that level. If it pulls back below, many times that signals it's not ready to go. It could possibly consolidate. Not always, but it's just it's a good strategy. And so if you can see here, it worked its way back into this channel. That's not what you want to see happen. It needs to break above this closing price here in May, this white candle. It needs to get back above that around 172, 173. It needs to bust back above that to get back up to that 100-day simple moving average. Right now, you want to see that 50-day simple moving average at 155 hold. That'll be the key level to bounce off. If it breaks below, the downside risk is it could drop down here to around 135 or so and fill the gap. Yeah, you do not want to see the gap fill now. Now it's got sucked back into this channel. You want to see it turn the top of this sideways channel into support. It's never good when they drop back into it. Okay, so let's look at LBIX. This closed up 15% today. Yeah, so this is bouncing. It bounced a couple days ago, and it caught our eye on this inverted hammer type candle. But notice the volume was really light. and so it didn't do much. You know, it had gotten above EMA 4 temporarily, just really low volume yesterday. Check out just no volume, and then today, boom, volume came in, and it did close above EMA's 4 and 8 and above the 50-day simple moving average. If it can stay above 135, you know, that's going to keep it in play here. This is another stock that has the moving averages all lined up. You know, you have EMA 13, the 200, 300, 400-day simple moving averages in the middle Bollinger Band, which is the 20-day simple moving average. They're all lined up. These are all resistance levels. If it can get through 139 to 153 here, that's going to signal it wants to head higher. It's a lot of work to bust through them, but it needs to get back above that middle Bollinger Band at 153 to get a new uptrend going. If it dropped back below the moving averages here, you know, basically if it can't stay above the 100-day simple moving average in EMA 4 at 128, that's going to be a clear signal it's not ready to go. Yeah, so we'll see if it can bust through resistance. Yeah, take a look at TGC here. Keep an eye on this one. A really light volume, closed up 3%. It's hitting the middle Bollinger Band right now at 106. If you see it break above that level and turn that level into support on a volume spike, it could get moving. Notice volume's really light right now. They were able to walk it up on really light volume, but it needs to get above 106 and turn it back into support. What you'd be looking for is a move, you know, a move back up to the 125 or so. What is that, about 122 or so right here, the top of this white candle? That would be the key level to run to, and that's lined up with that upper Bollinger Band at 122, if it can turn 106 into support. Okay, so finally, take a look at ATTBF. This was the one of the marijuana sector stocks that had been doing good. It made a nice multi-day run, and then today it hit key resistance levels and pulled back. If you use my theory that I just talked about earlier, notice how it got above the 400-day simple moving average at 184 temporarily, and it came up and it tested the 300-day simple moving average basically at 20 cents here at 19.7, you know, and it failed to get above that level and pulled back. It was a red flag when it traded above the 400 and then dropped back below, and then it was also a very big red flag when it came down to the 100-day simple moving average at 15 and failed to hold that level and drop back below it. And so that just, it sucked it back in. The chart is not bearish. I mean, it does look like it formed dark cloud, bearish dark cloud cover. So it did form a strong bearish reversal pattern. That does look like it's you know, halfway. Did form bearish dark cloud cover. The open has to be above the previous close, and which is up here, the open, and then the close has to be more than halfway below the midpoint of the you know, halfway below this candle right here, wherever the midpoint is. And so that's probably like right around here, so the midpoint of this candle, you know, it's really close, but this is looking like bearish dark cloud cover, which that's a strong reversal pattern. And so you have to look out for bearish reversal confirmation. Right now it's all about holding the 50-day simple moving average in EMA 4. The chart's still super strong, holding the candles here, you know, holding support. It just got ahead of itself well above the upper Bollinger Band, hit resistance and pulled back. If it dropped below 12, that would be a red flag, and then you could possibly see it drop down into 10. If it can hold 12, that's going to be, you know, that would be a good sign. The chart, it could bounce off at 12 here, hold it, work its way back up to 15. A drop below 12 will signal downside risk. If you use the 15-minute chart, and you can see here it broke down below the middle Bollinger Band, you know, and that happened around 12:15 or so. You know, that was your red flag when you saw it break above on the daily chart and then come back below, you know, breaking below support. You could see how the middle Bollinger Band right here at 15 or so, that was lining up with the 100-day simple moving average. You know, it dropped below the middle Bollinger Band, and then the next candle it broke that 100-day simple moving average. This was all signals, you know, that you could lock in gains and look for a reload lower if you failed to lock in gains at the top. You know, somebody that tried to time it at the top. But just saying the daily chart is still very strong here, and it still has upside potential. But the candlestick pattern with the bearish dark cloud cover is signaling that it could pull back if that 12 fails to hold. Okay, thanks for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, come check out the chat. Okay, thanks.